Hi everybody, I'm Bill Sanders and this is Watch Art Sci, the art and science of watch collection. Today we're going to be talking about CY's rich collection, and I call it a rich collection not because it's expensive, but rather I think it has variety and taste, and I think it's really a cool collection. Okay, well, let's get started. The first two is an IWC Ingenieur and a Rolex Datejust. The Rolex Datejust, it's a 36, is sort of cool really because CY got one for himself in London for he and his wife's 10th wedding anniversary, and so he got his wife he got her a Datejust 31. So I thought that was sort of a cool thing about it. Okay, let's go on. Now, this next two really, is a Ulysses Nardin diver, and along with it is a Union Glashütte Classic. These watches, I haven't seen the Classic before, and that's a great, what I call, office watch, where you go to work on that. You need something to tell time. You don't want something crummy, but you don't want something way too fancy. So it's a good office watch. The diver, I haven't seen. This is another one I haven't seen before. Ulysses Nardin diver. It's a chronometer, and I'm more interested in chronometers than I am in divers. But this is a nice, clear diver watch, and it's got the small seconds at 6 o'clock, and along with the date, and it's a kind of, I don't know if CY is a diver or not, but one of those watches that is set up for that. Okay, let's go on. Now, these next two watches are both Omegas. One is the one on the left is a quartz watch. It's a mid-sized quartz watch called the Seamaster 300. The one on the right, though, this is CY's newest one. It's an Omega Seamaster with the caliber 564. 35 millimeter, and it's got the beaded rice bracelet. CY mentioned he had a smaller wrist, and so some of these watches that he got have a smaller size to them. And one of the things for collectors who have smaller wrists, you can get some really good buys, because a lot of times people want a bigger a bigger watch, either because of the style or because they have great big wrists. And so, smaller wrist is a big advantage. Okay, let's go on. These next three are actually next two. There's a Jaeger-LeCoultre. First of all, there's a Mastra ultra thin small seconds. This is a beautiful watch. This is sort of a getting toward your executive suite kind of watch, and an ideal date night watch. Beautiful, understated, just a nice flat out watch. Now, the Reverso is called the Reverso Classic Medium Dual Face. The dual face, this particular dual face, is, if not my favorite, one of my favorite Reversos. On the one hand, you can use it for a day and night, so you got really two watches: the white dial for your everyday, your black dial for your for more of an evening kind of thing, or you can use it, as they suggest, for travel time. You could have it set to do different time zones. Again, one of the very, very cool Reversos. All right. Now, these next two, this is one of the things about the A Longa Unsunde Saxonia, is that they were relatively small compared to other watches. And man, I tell you, you got a small wrist, this is just right for you, and that is a honey of a watch. What a well-chosen watch. I really like that A Longa. And then the Overseas next to us. Now this is the Overseas 2, and this particular one is a real beauty. One of the things about the second edition of the Overseas, and they may have carried it on to the newest one, is I like the date down at 4:30. I mean, it's like nothing's happening at 4:30, so it's a good place to put the date. And it gets 3 and 9 o'clock. It sort of gets in the way of big time hunks, but there at 4:30, it's a good place to put it. I had one like this, except it had a black dial instead of a white dial. And that Overseas, I wore my Overseas for years. It was a wonderful watch. It just great watch. And so I have a prejudice toward those. All right. Now, this next 3 watches, they're all by Seiko. First of all, on the far left is a beautiful Creedor. A Creedor is sort of a fancy Grand Seiko. I think Grand Seiko is more of their technology, whereas the Creedor line is more of their elegant line. That's my hunch about them. And here are 3. One's the one in the middle is a Grand Seiko Quartz, and the one at the bottom is the Grand Seiko High Beat. Now the High Beat is that's the one that has 36,000 beats per hour, or actually quasi-oscillations per hour. And I have said on a number of occasions that I'm not crazy about high beats, not because they're not accurate, because they are. They're extremely accurate, and they're really very top drawer technology to put one of these together. I don't like it because I'm cranky. I don't know. No, I like the lower beats because all of the top watchmakers seem to be using 2.5 hertz, and this is a 5 hertz watch, but it's a very nice watch. And if you have a watch and you want it, and you want a mechanical watch and you want it to be accurate, your High Beats is an excellent choice on that. Okay, now finally there are 3 watches, and I like all 3 of them. They're all Seikos again. First of all, on the far left is the Presage, and that's just a nice looking watch. I really like the way there's a little crescent moon on the bottom of the center second hand. I like those. I like them also too when they're used for a hand date to tell the date on something. The middle is my favorite Seiko. It's a 5 Sports. Why do I like it? I think these things came out like in 1967, 1968, something like that, and they had all of these innovations on them. And so I've always liked the Seiko 5, and they're very inexpensive, but they're cool watches, and I like them. Now this other one, the Majesta, I'd never seen that before, but I really like the way it just sort of flows into that metal bracelet. That Majesta is sort of a surprise to me. I really like it a lot, even though the 5 remains my favorite. That 5 is just, I don't know what it is about the 5 that I like. It's just sort of a, like, good little watch. By the way, I'm wearing my H. Moser at C. Henry double hairspring. Now here's a big watch. I got about a 7.5 inch wrist, and this guy takes care of it for me. Block aliens with it. Okay, well listen, like I said, I find this a very rich collection, well chosen watches, but I'd like any suggestions you might have on this. After looking at this thing ticks so many different points. If I had to suggest, what I would suggest is maybe looking at, and these can get expensive, so I'm sort of hesitant about it. Some of the watches that are sort of the handmade watches by some of the up-and-coming young independents. There are some really talented ones in China and Japan, and I know that most of these were picked up in Asia. And take a look at some of these guys, some of these young, super talented independents, while you can still afford them. Okay, like to hear what your suggestions might be and any other comments you might have. And this is an invitation to subscribe if you like. And until Friday, this is Bill Sanders for Watch Outside, the Art and Science of Watch Collection.